how to crochet this beautiful decorative pillow. I'm using crocodile stitch to crochet this one, and this is 10 inches by 16. So 10 by 16 inches decorative pillow. Let's get started. So for the materials, I used 2 skeins of Simply Soft yarn in watermelon color, a pair of scissors, blunt needle, size I crochet hook, 4 pieces of buttons, and some pins. So let's start with a knot and chain 60. Row 1, double crochet in third chain from hook. So 1, 2, 3, double crochet in that chain, and then double crochet in each chain across. So I'm going to cut off the video and I'll be back towards the end of the row. So I'm here now towards the end of the row, continuing with a pattern of double crochet in each chain. So last double crochet, and this is how the row looks like. Row 2, chain 2, 1, 2, turn, and double crochet in the first stitch, this one here. So double crochet in this stitch and double crochet in each stitch across. So I'm going to cut off the video again and I'll be back towards the end of the row. So I'm here now towards the end of the row. So the row should have 59 double crochets including the turning chain. And this is how row 2 looks like. So for rows 3 to 5, just repeat row 2 and we should have 5 rows of double crochets. So I'm continuing my work and I'll be back when I have 5 rows of double crochets. So this is now how my piece looks like after 5 rows of double crochets. And now we're ready for the next step. Before I proceed, I want to give credit to the YouTube channel The Crochet Crowd. I'm putting the link of that particular video in the description below. Please watch the video if you want a detailed explanation on how to do crocodile stitch. That's where I learned how to do it, so thank you. So the next step is to do our framework. So chain 3, turn. So skip the first stitch, go to the next stitch here, skip this one and go to the next one and do a V stitch. So double crochet on that stitch, chain 1 and another double crochet on the same stitch, and we just did our V stitch. So skip 2 stitches, 1, 2, go to the third stitch and do another V stitch. So double crochet, chain 1 and another double crochet on the same stitch. So that's our second V stitch. So continue the pattern, skip 2 and go to the third and V stitch. And I'll be cutting off the video and I'll be back towards the end of the row. So I'm here now towards the end of the row. I'm going to be doing the last V stitch. So skip 2 stitches, 1, 2, go to the third, double crochet, chain 1 and another double crochet on the same stitch, and we will be left with 2 stitches on this row. So 1, 2, and just do a double crochet on the last stitch like this. So this is the end of our framework. This is how the row looks like. So at the end of the row, there is a V-stitch and a double crochet. And then at the beginning of the row, there is a double crochet and a V-stitch. So they mirror each other. So the next step is to do our scales. So chain 3, 1, 2, 3. Turn our piece this way. And then on the first V-stitch, on the first post here, we'll do 5 double crochets. So insert our hook on the post, pinch it, first double crochet, and then another 4 double crochets. So that's 2, 3, 4, and 5 double crochets. Then chain 1, and then turn our piece facing us, and then go to the next post of the V-stitch. This is the first post. The second post, this one, do another 5 double crochets on that post. So pinch that post, insert your hook on that post, and our first double crochet, 2, 3, 4, and 5 double crochets. So we just did our first scale of the crocodile stitch, and it looks like this. So when I flip the scale, there is the next V-stitch. We're going to skip that one, and then we're going to go to the next one and do another scale. 5 double crochets on that post. So insert hook on that post, pinch it, and 1 double crochet, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Chain 1, and then turn the piece towards us again, and go to the second post of the V-stitch and do another 5 double crochets. So hold it, yarn over, hold it this way, and try to pinch on that post. So 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. So that's our second scale, and it looks like this. So we are doing our third scale. So flip that scale, skip that V-stitch and go to the next V-stitch, and repeat the pattern of 5 double crochets. So I'm gonna be cutting off the video, and I'll be back towards the end of the row. So I'm here now towards the end of the row. I'm gonna be doing my last scale. So if I flip this one, I'm left with 2 V stitches. So I'm gonna skip this one, and I'm gonna work on the last V stitch here. So 5 double crochets on the first post. So 1, 2, 3, 4 and 5, and then chain 1, and then go to the next, to the other post of the V-stitch, and do another 5 double crochets. So pinch it, and 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. And then to end this row, this is how it looks like. To end this row, there is this post on the turning chain of our framework. So just slip stitch on top of that turning chain. So here, top of the turning chain, just do a slip stitch like this. And that's the end of our row 1 scale. And this is how it looks like. So for the next step, we'll do our framework again. So to do it, chain 3, turn our piece this way, and then on the first V-stitch, or this first scale where we did our scale, just V-stitch on top of that one. So double crochet, chain 1, and another double crochet on the same stitch. That's our first V-stitch, and then V-stitch on the next, see, this is the next V-stitch of the prior row. So if there is that connecting stitch between the two scales, we're gonna include it in our V-stitch. So insert hook on that next V-stitch like this. Insert, hold on, yarn over and insert hook on the V-stitch, and then include that connecting stitch of the scales. So yarn over it like this and pull through, and then do our double crochet, and then chain 1 and another double crochet on the same stitch, and yarning over on that connecting stitch between two scales. So that's our next V-stitch for this framework. So if I turn it, that V-stitch is pinning the scales onto our piece. So continue the pattern, V-stitch again on the next V-stitch here. So double crochet, chain 1, and double crochet on the same stitch, and then the same step as the other V-stitch, insert hook, and then yarn over, insert hook here, yarn over on that connecting stitch between the two scales. So insert hook on this V-stitch, yarn over on that connecting stitch between two scales like this, and double crochet, then chain 1, and then double crochet, and then continue the pattern. I'll be cutting off the video, and I'll be back towards the end of the row. So I'm here now towards the end of the row. I'm going to be doing the last 2 V-stitches of this row. So insert hook, double crochet, chain 1, and another double crochet, and then the last V-stitch there, double crochet on that chain, on that space, double crochet, and then to end this row, there's that post of that framework. Just do a double crochet on top of that turning chain. So double crochet on that post like this. So that's our framework. That's the end of the row. That's the end of our framework again. And this is how it looks like. That's the double crochet and then V-stitch, and then it should mirror on the first and the beginning row, a double crochet and a V-stitch. So that's our framework. So the next step is to work on our row 2 scales. So we're gonna turn our work this way, and then we're gonna slip stitch on the first double crochet. See, this is the first double crochet. We're gonna slip stitch on that stitch like this, and then we're gonna do another slip stitch on the chain 1 space of the V-stitch here. So slip stitch on that chain 1 space like this, and then from here we're ready to do our scale on the next V-stitch. So the scales on this row will be in between the 2 scales of the prior row. So insert hook on that post and do 5 double crochets. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then chain 1, and then turn it facing us, and then go to the next post of the V-stitch, that one, and then do another 5 double crochets on that post. So pinch it like this, insert hook, and 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. So that's our first scale of this row. This is the row 2 of the scales. So it's in between the 2 scales of the prior row. So looks like this. So flip the scale, and there's the next V-stitch. We're going to skip this one and then go to the next V-stitch here and do our second scale. So 5 double crochets on that V-stitch, on that post. So 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. And then chain 1, and then go to the next other post of the V-stitch, this one, and then 5 double crochets on that post. So 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. And this is our second scale for this row. This is how it looks like. So continue the pattern, skip the next V-stitch and go to the next V-stitch and do the scales. So I'll be cutting off the video. I'm working on my regular pace, and I'll be back towards the end of the row. So I'm here now towards the end of the row. I'm left with 3 V-stitches. So if I flip the scale, so I have 3 V-stitches left. So I'm going to be skipping this one, and I'm going to be working on the middle V-stitch. So on this one. So 5 double crochets, 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. And then chain 1, and then 5 double crochets on the other post of the V-stitch. So 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. So that's our last scale for this row. And then to end this row, just go to the next V-stitch and slip stitch on the chain 1 space like this. And then slip stitch on the double crochet, this one, slip stitch on that one, and then one more slip stitch on top of the turning chain on this one. So 3 slip stitches to end this row. And this is how it looks like. So if you look at this side, it should mirror the other side, the beginning of the row, like this. So after the scales, we'll do framework again. So from here, we'll do chain 3, 1, 2, 3, turn this way, and then V-stitch on top of that V-stitch here. So V-stitch, double crochet on that stitch, chain 1, and double crochet on the same stitch. So repeat the pattern. I'm going to cut off the video and I'll be back towards the end of the row. So I'm here now towards the end of the row doing the last 2 V-stitches. So I'm going to V-stitch on this one, chain 1 and double crochet, and then V-stitch on the last V-stitch here. So double crochet, chain 1 and double crochet. And to end this framework, just double crochet on top of that turning post here. This post, double crochet on top of that one, just like this. So this is now how the piece looks like. I'm going to turn it facing up. So from here, repeat row 1 scales, then framework, then row 2 scales, then framework again until piece has 17 rows of scales. So I'm going to cut off the video. I'll continue my work until I have 17 rows of scales, and then I'll come back to show you the next step. So again, repeat row 1 scales, then framework, then row 2 scales, then framework again respectively until piece has 17 rows of scales. So this is now how my piece looks like after 17 rows of scales. So the next step would be to do double crochets again, just like what we did in the beginning rows. From here, we do 2 chains, 1, 2, and then turn, and then double crochet on the first stitch here. So do a double crochet, and then double crochet in each stitch across. So just like this. Double crochet in each stitch. So just like in the beginning rows of this piece, this row should have 59 double crochets including the turning chain. So I'm going to cut off the video and I'll be back towards the end of the row. So I'm here now towards the end of the row, continuing the double crochet in each chain. So here, and end with a double crochet on top of the turning chain, on the top of the post there. So it looks like this. So if you have more or less 59, then that's fine. So to continue, chain 2 and then turn, and then just double crochet in the first stitch, and then double crochet in each stitch across. So I'll be continuing this pattern of double crochet in each stitch across until I have 16 rows of double crochet, and then I'll be back to show you the next step. So this is now how my piece looks like after 16 rows of double crochets on the top portion of the piece. So to finish this piece, just slip stitch in each stitch across. So we're gonna turn our piece this way and then just slip stitch on the first stitch here, and then on a stitch in each stitch across, just like this. So I'm cutting off the video. I'll be back towards the end of the row. So I'm here now towards the end of the row, just continuing with the slip stitch in each stitch across. And then this is the last stitch, and then we are done. Just fasten off. So with the right side facing up, fold first the top portion of the piece like this. So fold it down like this, and then fold the bottom part up. Fold it up like this, overlapping like 2 rows of double crochets, and then pin it together. So pin it together like this, and then do the other side too. Get our pin, safety pins, and then you can pin the sides also so that it will be held together when you are sewing. So using our blunt needle, thread the yarn, and then sew the sides together like this. So it's just a simple stitch. So we're sewing the post and the double crochets on each side like this. So after sewing this side, we're going to do the same thing on the other side. So same step on the other side of the pillow, sew it like this also. So this is now how the piece looks like with the sides sewn together. So do this step on the other side of the pillow too. So my piece is now sewn together on both sides. Now I'm going to flip it right side out. So it looks like this now. So fix the corners, and then this is the opening in the back, and then I'm going to sew 4 buttons on these openings. So this is now the finished product. So I'm going to insert a pillow. So this is the back side. Insert the pillow like this, and then button it up. And then adjust, and it's done. Thank you so much for watching, and bye now.